Hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to be working on the 80cc go-kart again. In the last video you saw, I got the frame stretched and welded back together. I got the seat mounted. I got Jono over here helping me today, and I think what we're going to be doing is working on the front end. We're going to take the spindles off. We're going to take the spindles off the other go-kart, put them on this one, and try to get the front end squared away. Once we do that, then we can start working on the placement and the mounting of the motor and everything, all the little details after that. So let's get to it. So we got the steering shaft removed, we got the front tires off, we got all the linkage off. So now we have to cut these spindles off this go-kart frame, and we're going to cut these ones off this go-kart, and then we're going to mount them here, and we're going to mount them at a slight caster angle, so hopefully the steering will be better. But the reason we're doing this is because these wheels and tires that I would like to use here do not fit on this shaft. So otherwise I probably wouldn't be going through the trouble to swap these spindles out, but since it's a totally different size shaft, we got to do it. So okay, so we got this spindle cut off. We're going to cut this one off now. So we got both spindles cut off, we got them ground down. So we got to grind down the old welds off these spindle mounts, and I think I might be able to actually adapt the other spindles to just fit in here because of the same measurements, so maybe we don't have to cut the other ones off. Okay, so we got the old spindle brackets, or mounts, whatever you want to call these, I'm not sure what these are called, the old spindle mounts cut off the go-kart frame. We got these all grinded nice, ready to weld, and then these are the actual spindles off of our parts go-kart. So these have the right diameter axle, so we're going to be able to use those bigger wheels and tires that I want. It took quite a bit of work, grinding a little bit of material off on the insides of these and stuff to make these fit really nice, but I think it's going to work out really well.
Well, I mean, your seat is mounted a little off to the right.
Well, because I kind of like lined this up. It's not perfect, but I tried to line up this bump with the center bar, and that's where I put it. So I know that it's different here than there.
I think actually your seat is more centered than it looks, because you measure from here, 11 inches, measure here, it's a 1/4 inch difference.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I was running into when I was trying to square up the axle. Yeah. So I just did the best I could with...
Yeah, I don't think the axle matters as much as the front end.
So like when I did the axle, I just ended up measuring from this bar to the axle, and I just made it the same on both sides.
Yep.
So, but that might not be
this could not be square here.
Yeah. Because every different which way I measured was like a little bit different. Yeah. So I just had to pick something and go with it.
Yeah, you gotta be close. I bet you're probably close anyway.
It's not square if you do it that way.
No.
But also, like, who knows if these bends are the same? Who knows if that, you know what I mean?
Well, I can already see it. Look right here.
It's not, yeah, nothing's like...
You can see this one is bent back more. This is more 90 than this.
You gotta also think this is a kid's go-kart for going around the yard, so it doesn't have to be made to the same specs of like a racing go-kart that needs to be you know,
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna
it's not a racing chassis, so.
adapting it to what we want for it anyway, so it's not gonna be perfect.
Nope.
But we want our steering, we want our center line, this, you know, we want the same distance from our steering on both sides, I'd say.
From where?
From our steering
From
shaft.
yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're trying to figure out how high we want the front of this and how we're going to mount these spindles. So this is about the level we want the frame at. It's pretty level. It's a good position. But if you notice, these spindles are sitting fairly high above the frame. So I think what we're going to do is add a piece of square tubing on top of this piece of square tubing to weld the spindles to. And that will allow us to get equal caster on both sides. And I think it will just make everything easier overall, because we can lay out our spindles, lay out the square tubing, weld it up, sit it in here, get our caster, weld it to the frame, and everything is, boom, just done and nice and square and how we want it. So. So this is going to be the front end. This is how we have the spindle mounts laid out on this square stock here. Camber. So we're going to try to weld these onto the square stock with a little bit of camber, and then once they're both fixed on there, we can mount it onto the frame, rotate it back, and then get the equal amount of caster on each side.
Watch your eyeballs.
We're just getting this tack welded on here. Once we have it tacked on, then we're going to rock it back and finish weld it.
Alright with that. That's why you wear gloves, kids.
These are the hands of progress. Yeah. John was getting this thing welded up.
Getting my groove on.
I burned a nice little hole over here, so I
filled it up.
oh, you filled it in. But I did this one. Oh, focus.
You can't even see it.
All right, guys, so we got this thing welded on here. We need to weld more in the future, but we're just gonna leave it like this for now. It's definitely solid. You can see the amount of caster we put on those spindles now. I kind of just eyeballed it, and hopefully it's enough, but it's also not too much. So it kind of is very similar to the other go-kart, so I think it's going to be okay. It looks pretty similar to other pictures I've seen. We're going to go ahead here and put the spindles together, put the wheels on, see how it looks sitting on its own tires. Get this fucker on.
There you go. But I think it looks pretty close. The tire looks kick out. Oh,
Whatever.
Can't really tell without air in it either.
I know, you gotta put air in the tires.
that looks about straight. Looks okay to me.
So we're not sure if this bar is gonna get in the way or not. It may. I know what we could do. We could just notch this up and over the linkage.
Just longer bolts. Longer bolts and space it to go over it.
Maybe.
Or like I said,
Down.
on the bottom,
Underneath.
maybe a spacer there so you're in there.
Let's grab a linkage and see if it lines up on the bottom. Alright, so the front end is pretty much squared away. We just got to put the linkage on. We have to mount the steering wheel. I'm going to have to extend the steering shaft. But this is getting in the way slightly here, this bar. We're going to have to figure out a way to work around it. But either way, I'm not changing the front end. That's staying the same. We could notch this higher. There's a couple other options we could do. So that's not a big deal. I'm not really even worried about it. Okay guys, that's going to be the video for today. If you want to follow along with this build series, go back and watch the other parts. Go down below, subscribe, click the like button, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. See you next time. Later.